there's 41 million Americans that are Hispanic or of the Latino market, all of which prefer, like, if you can speak Spanish, they prefer to speak Spanish. Plenty of law firms that aren't offering Spanish support, so they're already disqualifying themselves. If the Spanish market knows that they can call and they can communicate in their first language, they're going to turn to you every time. They're not going to run a risk of going to a different law firm. The Spanish market is very loyal, very family oriented, very word of mouth. So while it may not happen overnight, once you win a couple of cases or try a couple of cases, and once you show that you're there and you're there for the long run, your book of business will become an evergreen where that market is concerned. Listening to call after call for years, you hear it. You hear someone call in and they do speak English, but as soon as they get a hint or read that the operator can speak Spanish, they switch over and you can hear the tenor of their voice come up. They're just simply more comfortable with speaking Spanish because and many times that's their first language. Sometimes whenever the Hispanic culture hears an English-only conversation, there's a level of intimidation or there's a level of non-trust that's raised just because they may not understand the exact thing that's being said. There's frustration because you have the caller or the potential claimant calling because they're injured or they need help. So they're probably coming into it with some fear and some panic or some anxiety. It can lead to you signing cases that you don't want. Therefore, you having to turn that individual down, send them a rejection letter. I've been overseas and attempting to speak a different language is very, it puts me in a vulnerable state, and I can only imagine that's how a Hispanic or a Latino person feels whenever they're calling. They've got this serious need, they're scared, they're already panicked, and then now they have at least a partial language barrier in order to discuss this issue, and they don't want to come off as uneducated. They may feel like they're going to be taken advantage of. They may feel like the fee is going to be different, or they're going to pay the attorney more. Opportunities of growth there, or reasons for growth are very important. They can all be tied back to a bottom dollar. When it comes to implementing Spanish support in any law firm, there's really one of two choices. You can do it yourself. You can, which is great if you've got the time and you want to put forth the effort. It's all hiring decisions. The big problem that I see is when a law firm wants to infiltrate that market or penetrate that market and they hire one or two people, they need breaks, they need vacations, they're gonna have sick kids. And that's a huge vulnerability if you're relying on two people to service an entire subdivision. The other way you can go is you can not pay the full time. You can pay for just in time. You can hire a service like ours, like LCC, where we can answer the phone in Spanish. We can take messages in Spanish. We can be your front office, your back office. We offer translation services. We can translate documents for you. And most intake centers should be able to do that. If they can't, well, they're not thinking about that 20%, the 20% of the market. I think in this day and age, that market, if you leave it behind, somebody else is going to grab it. Don't let that money fall on the ground. If you don't have a caseload large enough, or if you're just trying to penetrate that market, I think it would be better to hire a third party, a vendor that is experienced, that does offer that service, and that can help you get from A to B. Now, once you penetrate that market, you may say, hey, look, now I have enough to where I can hire 3 full-time employees, and at least LCC helped you bridge that gap.